Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we proudly provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. Jacalyn-Kerbeck, and it's my pleasure to host this show, which is the Mallorca Connection. And our topic today is a journey through Nordic wonders. We're going to be talking about Roland-Friedl's trip to Scandinavia. Let's welcome the star of our show. He has been traveling around the world, and it's been about a month or so since we've seen him. He is a entrepreneur. He's a coach. He's an author. He's someone who really cares about giving back, and he volunteers his time to come here and help educate and inspire all of us. Let's welcome my dear friend, Mr. Roland-Friedl. Hello.
Hello, Jacalyn. Great to see you. You look amazing. What's your beauty secret? What are you doing?
I'm decluttering. I think I'm just getting rid of stuff and I feel lighter, but thank you. I've made some lifestyle changes, and I wish I could say that I'm not eating chocolate, but I still am eating it. I'm so sorry, my friend. It brings me joy, and I know that's counterintuitive. But today we're going to be talking about you. You obviously have a very exciting life. You decided to go out on the road into your incredible mobile home, which is really nicer than a lot of people's homes that are on the ground, and you've been traveling around. So give a little bit of a background for people who haven't joined us before. We have new people coming all the time. What is it that inspired you to leave your home on the beautiful island of Mallorca and go into a motorhome and travel?
Good question. First of all, Mallorca was an amazing spot for 14 years. I loved it, but to be honest, my home is inside myself. You know, I don't feel home. I don't have this feeling like I'm Austrian. You know, I'm a European Austrian. I was always traveling, living in different parts of the world. Actually, 2 days ago, I had a discussion with a very good friend of mine. We know each other since almost 40 years. And he said, Roland, I couldn't live like you. I said, don't you miss home? I said, what do you mean by it? Do you miss home? I said, home is here. It's inside me. It's always with me. So I'm used to travel. I'm used to live in different places. And Mallorca has been an amazing spot for 14 years, but it was time to go further, to move on, do something different. And yeah, a lot of things have been changing. Separation of my partner, my relationship at the time. This huge house, and I already had this motorhome for traveling times. And the rest of the year, it was just standing around. And to be honest, I was sometimes, you know, I don't watch TV, but I sometimes on YouTube, and I saw some van lifers from all parts of the world traveling, and I said, oh, that's pretty cool. I have a motorhome. Why shouldn't I do it? So it was just the right time, and that's that in April 2022, yeah, 2 years, a little bit more than 2 years ago, I moved full-time in motorhome. The plan was for 1 year, but it's over 2 years, and the journey is still going on, and I just love it. I just love it. To be free, to be independent, to meet amazing people around my trips, new places, being a lot in nature. I just love it. I just love it. But to be honest, as I said at the beginning, it's my home is inside. It doesn't matter where I am. That's my home. My home is inside.
Can I just tell you how much I appreciate what you just shared? That really just helped me to hear what you had to say, because as you know, I'm sort of in a transition phase, and it doesn't really matter where you are. You're at home right here when you're in touch with who you are. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, you know my story. I really had a bad childhood, so I never had I don't have a good experience or a good reference when somebody says, this is home, this is family. So it's inside me, and I always take it with me, no matter where I am. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So today we're going to talk about exploring Scandinavia. For those people who are not aware, where is Scandinavia located and what is the background or the demographics of the people who live there?
Okay. So Scandinavia is the northern part of Europe, very, very north, so very close to the North Pole. So in I guess on the same high when you are in north of Canada, Alaska. So it's the north part of Europe. And Scandinavia is actually mostly three countries, more or less, on the European side. It's Norway, it's Sweden, and it's Finland. That's Scandinavia. Scandinavian countries. Maybe some people know. Actually, there was on Netflix there was a series, The Vikings. So the Vikings came from Denmark, Norway, Sweden. So rough countries, rough climates, rough but very lovely people, but very powerful warriors. And I don't know when you know about the Vikings, especially the ladies. Yeah, the ladies have been warriors too. So beautiful, by the way. No, beautiful north part of Europe.
I have never been there, but I would absolutely, yeah, I'd love to go there. I think I've heard that people there are really wonderful. So, where were you coming from, and what was your intention on going there?
Actually, when I got my motorhome 6 years ago, I planned my first trip to go to Scandinavia, and then I made a different decision. I went back down to France. I always wanted to go to Scandinavia. That's one thing. And this year I went there because my dear friend, Piero Visconti, we had him once on the show, Piero Visconti Outdoors, the Italian guy. He moved some years ago to Scandinavia, and we never met in person. Contact since years. Online, we have a chat in a while. We do video conference, stuff like that. But we never met in person. So this was one reason to go up and see him and his family, and yeah, that was the starting point to go up to Norway. That was the main reason to go up. And to be honest, this was my first trip. I always love to plan my trips, but this time I had no idea. I just know I'm gonna see him. Yeah, and maybe I see a little bit around Norway, some tips from him, but I've absolutely no plans. I did not plan. I didn't buy any sightseeing book or something like that. So I just go with the flow. It was going with the flow.
I love that. You really inspire me in so many ways, in addition to what you said about where the home is. But I actually did a little traveling on my way back to Florida, and I just decided instead of driving straight through, I was going to stop at various places, and I didn't know anyone, and just check things out. And it actually was really liberating to know that you don't have to be in a certain place. And for us, of course, there has to be Wi-Fi, but we can do what we do from anywhere, obviously from a motorhome. And it's a really cool experience. But some people are really chained to the idea of having to be in the same places. Some people have been in the same home, in the same city or the same town for their entire life. So what you're doing is so liberating. I think you've inspired so many people.
Yeah, that's true. But my best three buddies. One in September we met 53 years ago on the first school day. The other one I know 39 years ago, and the other one about 28, 29 years. So that's my best three friends, and they're all three are the same. They never left their home except for holiday. So married in the same city, living in the same city, working in the same city. They're totally different than me. And they always say, Roland, we love what you're doing, but it's not our lifestyle, because they know exactly that my lifestyle means taking self-responsibility. I have to take care about myself. I have to make my own choices. There's nobody telling me when to get up, when to start to work. And I mostly I don't know the next day where I stay overnight, where I park my camper. I never know. But that's what I love. This is my kind of lifestyle. I love to expand my my comfort zone, to conquer new places, meet new people. I always loved it. I remember when I was been in Mallorca, another place, and I was flying to my clients, I always loved it to go to new companies, new venues, new people, having no idea what's going on. I love it. Of course, I'm a little bit nervous, to be honest. Yes, but that's the thrill I love. I'm not a bungee jumper. That's my way of thrilling. That's my way of thrilling. Get to know new people and new places.
So your three friends that you've had for all these years, they said they could never do it. Did you ever maybe encourage them or invite them to travel with you for a short period of time?
No, because I love to be myself. So it's very egoistic, I know. No, but I know that's not their way of lifestyle. We meet very many times. We meet many times. We go for dinner. We have conversations. No, no. I'm even struggling when a girl sometimes travels with me. I love to be myself in the motorhome. That doesn't mean that I don't like to meet people, but in the motorhome, I love to be by myself.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. I can relate to that. So, Roland, when you think about the trips that you've taken, we're going to go back to Scandinavia, but let's say you meet your friends and you go out to dinner and then you're tired and can you just go to sleep wherever your vehicle is, or you actually you can only stay in certain places? You can't just go to any parking lot and stay overnight. How does that work?
Well, I guess there are a few countries in Croatia, Slovenia, where you have always to go to a camping site, but the rest of Europe, you can park when it's not a sign that's forbidden. You can park your car and sleep there, meaning having no camping attitude, meaning you don't bring chairs out or stuff like that. So when you just park it and you sleep there, you can do it in Europe as long as there's no sign saying parking forbidden. Yeah. So I do it very often. So I just find I go up. I always leave the highway. Well, actually, most of the time I don't use the highway because I love small streets to conquer the country. I just always find a place. And when it's difficult to find a place in nature, I park outside of cemetery. How do you call it? Cemeteries? Cemeteries? Yeah, because it's peaceful and quiet.
Cemetery?
Cemetery, yeah. Yeah, it's peaceful. People are not partying till they're sleeping. So I sleep in a parking lot of cemeteries or on a sports in front of a football, soccer, public pool, parking space, stuff like that. Sometimes, but mostly I just park in nature somewhere. Yeah, it's not forbidden. It's not forbidden as long as you're not bringing out chairs and do barbecuing and stuff like that. You can do that.
So the barbecuing's out. Is there a reason for that?
Especially in summer, yeah, not burning down, because some people are not aware, and then maybe there's fire, and then there's huge fires there, especially in summer when everything is hot and dry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. So going back to Scandinavia, can you walk us through some of the things that you did, maybe in the order you did them? Maybe there's something special. I know you go to a lot of festivals, but to give people an idea of the opportunities that you were able to participate in.
Yeah, I mean, what I love on Scandinavia, it's because I love nature. It's wild nature. You can drive for hours and miles, and you don't meet anyone. You don't see anyone. Unfortunately, there's no gas station, no supermarket, no hotel, nothing for hours. So especially when you take Norway, for example, it's a very long country. It goes to the North Pole, also quite to the northern part, to the North Cape. They call it the North Cape. I guess it's one of the largest countries in Europe, but only has 5.5 million of people. So in the south, there's towns and there's more infrastructure. You also see hotels, but when you get a little bit north of the capital is Oslo, north, where I have been, no hotels, no supermarkets, sometimes a small grocery shop, small gas station when you're lucky. Every hour, 2 hours, you find a gas station. But a lot of wildness, a lot of nature, beautiful natures. You have mountains, you have lakes, you have, I don't know, I saw hundreds of waterfalls, amazing lakes in the mountains. Then we have these fjords. A fjord is when the sea goes very deep into the land. Beautiful. You have whales there and dolphins and stuff like that. In nature, you find reindeer, you find elk and stuff like that. You have to love nature. You're outside in the wild nature, and to be honest, it's a camping land. So as I mentioned before, you don't see many hotels, many pensions or stuff like that. So the Norwegian people, or Scandinavians in general, love to camping, and no matter what weather conditions they have, raining, snowing, they camp all the year. They're very loving people. So let's talk about Scandinavia. It's a lot of lakes, mountains, forests, beautiful. it's not a party country, you know. I mean, especially when you go to large cities. I mean, on my way back in Sweden, I was in Malmö. I joined a festival, but mostly it's just camping, wild nature, hiking, canoeing, and stuff like that. I guess like in Canada or in Alaska when you look at the other part of the world in the US.
Yeah, absolutely. What comes to mind is, what about for people who like to travel, but they're traveling in an electric vehicle?
It's perfect there. 80% of Norwegians have electric cars.
Oh, wow.
I've never seen so many, sorry for the advertising for Teslas, because Norway has no electricity issues because they have so many water that they have power plants to produce electricity. They have hell of electricity, so it's no issue for them. So there you have a lot of charge station for electricity, more gas station than, yeah, you have much more options to charge your electric car than gas stations. The government is supporting you. For example, the Tesla in Norway costs around the half than in Austria, in my home country, for example, because the company pays subventions, so they're quite cheap. When you go on a ferry, sometimes you have to cross a fjord, which is very, very expensive. So with my motorhome, it sometimes for a half an hour trip, it was $70 to $80, so it's quite expensive. And for electric cars, half price. Parking is free for electric cars. Ferry is half price. So most people have, I guess 80%. My friend told me 80%. Here they have an electric car, but he also has a gas car because he says in winter, when he goes on long trips, he trusts more the diesel, the pickup. But yeah, no issues with electric cars. Norway is the place to be when you love electric cars. Yeah.
So you and I have done a number of shows on electric cars, and you even had some experts come on. So is it fair to say that there's less pollution there?
When you don't look at the production side, yes. when you don't look at the production, we all know that just producing an electric car, you can ride 200,000 miles with a diesel car to have the same pollution, just producing the batteries in the car. And the other issue is with electric cars, but it's a different topic now, is after 3-4 years, what do you do with the batteries? Yeah, and I know that all my friends who had Teslas or similar electric cars, they had it once and said never, never again, because changing the batteries is very, very expensive, and you have to do it every 3-4 years. So it's quite expensive. It's not a cheap thing. Of course, driving an electric car is friendly for the climate, but the point is, when you have a lot like in Norway, where they have electricity comes from water production, not like in Austria or in Germany or in France, they're burning coal to produce electricity. Doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, it could be an option in the north, but as I said it again, the point is the pollution is already done just to produce the car, especially the batteries. That's the point.
Yeah.
Because you have to know, when you drive a Tesla or a similar car, you have around 2,000 pounds minimum weight on batteries you carry with the car. They're very heavy.
It's interesting. And then we're going to go back to Scandinavia.
Yeah.
When I was in New Jersey and then also here in Florida, there's a vehicle, I wanted to pull it up, but there's a vehicle that I've seen more and more of, and it looks like something out of the space age. Have you seen this? There's like no name or anything on it that I could see, and it's very geometrical. I can't describe it. And I looked it up, and it's a Tesla.
Yeah, it's a Tesla truck. Yeah, it looks awful.
So you've seen it too?
Yeah, I've seen it too several times. Yeah, I thought it was the sign of a 6-year-old. I don't know.
I don't like them either, but I'm seeing a lot of them, and here I see the list price is $118,000. I mean, that's a lot of money. Yeah. So let's go back to Scandinavia. So what is the climate like there most of the year? Do they have 4 seasons?
They have 4 seasons, yes, but actually it's more 2 seasons, winter and summer a little bit. They have a lot of snow. In winter, freezing cold. In the summer, this summer was quite warm, so we had about 70 Fahrenheit, so 20 degrees, what was really nice. So it's cool nights, you sleep well. In the mountains, I had minus degrees. And I was standing on the mountains. Yeah, a nice view on the glacier. It was freezing cold, it was frozen, everything there. In July, it was really, really cold. In the south, it's a little bit warmer, but what was really crazy, especially in Norway, the sun doesn't go down in summer. So meaning there's always daylight. It's not going dark in the night. So you really have to shut down everything to get some sleep. So on the other hand, you can do a hiking tour at midnight or 2 in the morning because there's light. The sun is not going down, or the sunlight is not going down. You don't see the sun anymore, but it's still light. Yeah, it's not getting dark in summer.
So does that impact the person's ability to sleep? There was a movie by Al Pacino. I forget what it was called, but he was in Alaska, and there was never any darkness. It was sunlight all the time, and it really impacted, as an actor on the stage, it impacted his ability to sleep.
Yeah, a little bit. I had a little bit challenge in the beginning, to be honest. And it was funny because when I was on the way north, I called my friend Piero in Norway and I said, I forgot my headlight. Can you buy me a headlight? And I said, you don't need one. Well, I said, what do you mean? It's not getting dark in the night. I said, okay, yeah. In the beginning, it was challenging for me, but on the other hand, when I couldn't sleep, I just walked my dog around 2, 3, 4 in the morning, but it was midnight because it's daylight. But yeah, I did sleep less, to be honest. Yeah. Was a little bit challenging.
Thanks for that. And what's the culture like? I mean, for example, is there a cultural aspect, museums, anything dealing with galleries or art, culture?
In the cities, yes. In nature, you have a lot of national parks. So most of the time I spend in national parks. When I went to the fjords, they call it stavkirke, meaning the churches are all made out of wood. And they are 1,000 years old, 800 to 1,000 years old, still standing on wood. So I was seeing them in landscape. And when you go to the cities, I'm not a big city fan, but I was to be honest, in Norway. I only was in one city called Lillehammer. There have been the Olympics, I guess, the Winter Olympics, I guess in 1994 or something. That's one city I visited in Norway. In Norway only I've been in national parks. And in Sweden, when I went back and I was in Sweden, I was visiting Göteborg, beautiful city, and Malmö. Not Stockholm, the capital, but I was in Malmö, beautiful. Yeah, you have a lot of galleries, art, and of course there's a lot, the Nordic Celtic culture. If you're into this, I'm a huge Viking fan, so there are a lot of, how to call it, outdoor museums, where they have whole villages rebuilt, how the people lived at the time. I love that. So they have Viking festivals where people are costumed as Viking and fighting and stuff like that. So like we have here in Austria and Germany, this Middle Age festivals that we have here. They have this Northern Fest there. There's a lot of festivals going on. Yeah, a lot of culture. People like to be around. They're very communicative, most of them. And as I said, they love to be outdoors. They love to be outdoors all the time.
Thanks for that. There was and I'm sure it's still out there on Netflix. There's a series called Lillehammer. And I don't know if you've seen it, but I watched it. I know you don't watch a lot of television, but I do watch Netflix and Amazon. Not a paid spokesperson, but it was really interesting because till you said that, I didn't put 2 and 2 together, but now I'm reflecting back on the show and the places that they went, and there's a lot of things to do there.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing, what I found out is that people love their tradition. That's what I found. So they love the costumes on festivals with this old clothes and this dance, and so they're very traditional. And on the other hand, they're very modern. That's what I love in the Scandinavians. On the other hand, they're very traditional, but on the other hand, they're very modern. Drive electric cars and have all this crazy stuff. And it's this combination, a bit very, very open to the world on the one hand, and very traditional on the other hand. Yeah, I love it. They're very grounded. I think they're very grounded because they're not disconnected to nature. So on the other hand, they drive fancy cars, they do crazy stuff, they have really cool technologies. And on the other hand, they're very grounded because all families go camping most of the time. Not in motorhomes. They have motorhomes, but mostly just in a tent, go out in the wild and camp and hike. And so there's this combination of still being grounded, connected to nature, but also be open to the modern technologies. That's what I love. It's a good combination there.
What kind of government do they have there?
I don't like governments at all, but I guess the same like everywhere. I mean, Norway is not part of the European community. It's not part of the European community. They have a normal democratic government. They have a king, like in England, the Norwegian king. In Sweden, they have a kingdom. In Denmark, they have kings, so they still have kings' families there. It's more a sightseeing part, like in the UK. But it's democratic countries. But Norway is not part of the European community. They are both, actually, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland. They have their own currency. They don't have the euro. Even also Finland and Sweden is part of it. They have their own currency. Government is normal. But what I see and what my friends told me is they have a lot of issues there. So the right-wing parties become more popular because especially Sweden and Norway, they've been very open, always to refugees, and now they have, especially in the cities, that's why I avoid the cities. They have absolutely issues with immigrants from Afghanistan, Syria, and all these countries. A lot of crime is going on. Friends of mine told me that in some parts of Stockholm or in Göteborg, the police is not going into these barriers anymore. They're completely out of control. So, yeah. They have some issues there. So more people are pissed off with the governments of the past. What happened, letting too many people into the country. There's no control anymore, and they're going more and more right wing. That's what I see.
I know you love talking about governments. Governments and electric cars are two of your top categories.
I'm a free person, you know.
I know. I've learned a lot from you over the years. So what would you say if someone was planning a trip to Scandinavia? What are some tips that you would give, maybe things to expect or places to go? What are the recommendations you have?
Well, when you go for city trips, it's really worth to fly to make city trips, like to go Malmö, Göteborg, and see the cities. There's one thing, city trips, or you should just fly north to see the northern light. The screen illumination. See the north. I didn't see it because I was not so far north, and you see them more in winter. So most people fly in winter. I believe that Scandinavia is fun in summer for going hiking, canoeing, and all this stuff you can do on lakes, on fjords, and on the hikes in mountain. But I want to also go back in winter because they have a lot of snow. You can do, how to call this, mushers with the husky. When you have this with the dogs in front of you, the sled. How do you call the sledge and the dogs you're running? You can do this. There are a lot of husky farms. Sorry,
sleigh.
Yeah. They have a lot of husky farms there. You can rush with the dogs. I don't know, 5, 4, 10 dogs in front of you through the winter nature. You can go skiing there. They have a lot of elks and reindeers. It's the whole year. In winter, it's really cold, to be honest. But I know people also go with campers there. So it's a whole year country to visit. Winter, it's more the season, stuff like that. For skiing, summer is more the hiking and fjord and lakes. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I really have to go there. I would highly recommend is when you really want to see Norway, take time. It's a huge country. You're driving a lot of miles, and especially when you came outside of Europe, rent a mobile home. Rent a mobile home, not a motorhome. Rent a motorhome, or maybe a car with a roof tent or something, and go in the countryside. You can really camp everywhere. When it's not forbidden, they have a law in Norway. In Sweden, it's called, I don't know the translation in English, it's called jedermannsrecht. It means the law for everyone, and it means that you can camp. But listen, not with a motorhome, with a tent. With a tent, you can camp everywhere in the countryside. So that's in Scandinavia. When you bring a tent, you can put on your tent wherever you want. So it's feel totally free. That's called the jedermannsrecht. You can also stand free with your camper. I was partly standing free, partly in camping places. Rent a camper and conquer country. Maybe you bring a canoe or something like that, or rent a canoe. If you like fishing, amazing fishing in the fjords and in the lakes where you have salmons or different other fishes. Fishing is amazing. Hunting, it's a lot of explore. But to be honest, it's, as I said at the beginning, of course you can go to the cities, to some city sightseeing, but it's more about nature. Scandinavia is more about nature. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like the perfect place for people to refresh and do what they need to do.
And if you like to enjoy alcohol, bring it. It's very expensive. Very expensive. And for example, in Norway, for example, you don't get Actually, it was more restrictive than in the US. I mean, US, you need ID card. In Norway, no supermarket selling alcohol. No supermarket.
We
No
used to
alcohol.
have that here in the States, except maybe there's one or two, I don't remember, but now it goes state by state and you can actually. So what I'm saying is it was similar here. You can only go to a liquor store
Yeah,
unless certain
liquor store.
states had deregulated it.
Yeah, the only liquor store, and they're all run by the government, so it's not private one run. They're all run by the government, and it's hell expensive. But I'm not a drinker, so I don't mind. But I had 2 times a non-alcoholic small beer in a restaurant. It was $10, $12, so it's really expensive. It's really expensive.
Yeah, you have to
So,
really want to drink to be able to spend that money.
yeah, yeah. But the food is amazing. When you love fish, reindeer, elk, all the stuff, and the food is really good. It's fresh nature. Of course, it's north. You know that they're not very into salad and fruits and vegetables. Not very much. They have it, but it's very expensive because mostly they have to import it. So they're more into meat and fish. Yeah, and a lot of sweets because when it's cold, you need more carbs. A lot of pastries. I tried some. The famous one. For me, it was too sweet. They're very, very sweet. Very, very sweet.
What about hunting or fishing for food? Are most people going to get their own food?
Yeah, a lot of people do hunt and fish for themselves. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Did you do any of that while you were there?
I was fishing, not hunting. I was fishing, and with Piero, when I was together with Piero, we have been in the forest. We found so many mushrooms. Many mushrooms, berries, blueberries, and stuff like that. Yeah, it's full.
How do you know what's edible and what's poisonous?
Asking Piero. There are a few mushrooms I know. I know that how to call it, Cinderella. This yellow ones.
Yes.
I know them for sure. I found 6 pounds or 7 pounds, a lot. And there is, I don't know the English word, the Borgino. In German, we say the Steinpilz. I know the stews for sure, but the other ones I don't touch, or when I'm alone, and if somebody's with me who is an expert, I ask them. We had an expert with us, a friend of Piero, actually a guy from, I guess he was from Bolivia, and he's now living, I guess, for 20 years in Scandinavia. He was really expert. He knows the spots, where to find them, and he knows all of them. But I only pick what I know, and this is these 2 kinds of mushrooms because it's a little bit dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to be careful. So will we see you on a program like Naked and Afraid or Alive or Survivor?
Well, I was in nature, bathing, get a kind of shower, refresh myself in wild rivers because there was no camping site, no hot water. I didn't have hot water for 2 weeks, just in a cold river. And you can also drink the water. It's so crystal clear. The water is so amazing. And I said before, I've never seen a country with so many lakes, waterfalls, whatever. Amazing. A lot of water, really clean water. You can drink it. I was swimming in the ocean, in the fjords, a little bit cold and fun with the whales. Yeah, nature. And you can really hike. You can hike for hours and sometimes for days, and you don't see a single person. More animals than people. More animals. But that's what I love. That's what I really love.
Love that. Yeah. Is it safe?
By what do you mean by safe?
Animals? Bear?
Yeah. I mean, I guess a reindeer, especially the wild ones. Yeah, they're farmed. But there's the national park where I have been, the oldest one. They're really wild, running around for free. They are so shy. They run away. So you have to be lucky to see them. The elk also. There's also more or less shy, but it's quite big. And I didn't see a bear. I don't know. I have no idea when you have a bear encounter how this is going to work. What I know for sure, when you're in the north, the polar bear, this white one, which is the largest predator on Earth. What I know is the difference than the brown bear and the black bear, because the brown bear, you say lay down like you're deaf, and they're standing them. No, not with the polar bear. They are very fast and they kill everything. That's the only encounter. And it was a little bit tricky when you swim in the fjords and there are orcas around. That's a little bit challenging. You swim a little bit faster. I know you don't have any chance against orca, but this was a little bit challenging. Yeah, so I was sweating, so I didn't really feel the coldness of the water, to be honest.
And you love your cold plunging, right?
Yeah, of course. I
Yeah.
love cold water.
Yeah.
Keeps
It's
me
all good.
young. Keeps me young and fresh.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. So you'll be leaving, and where will you be going?
Sorry?
So you left. I'm sorry, you left, and where did you go, I should say?
Okay, so I went up Denmark, Norway, then I went down Sweden. Sweden was not on my plan, but I had a communication with friends of mine, Austrians, who I met in Italy last winter. And I said, hey, I know that they have a house in Sweden. I said, we're in Sweden. Where are you? I said, I'm in Norway. Come over. So as I said, I had no plan. So I went down to Sweden on the island called Öland, and I was driving around this beautiful island. And there's a 4.5 mile bridge going over, so you don't need a ferry boat. I saw them in Sweden. Sweden is a little bit different than Norway. Sweden is even more forest, is a little bit flatter. And to be honest, I've never seen so many mosquitoes. Hell, mosquitoes. Sweden is famous for mosquitoes. If mosquitoes love you, avoid Sweden in summer. There are millions of mosquitoes. And then from Sweden, I spent a little bit more than 2 weeks in Sweden. So I went down Göteborg and the coast, really thousands of islands, then Öland around. Then I went to Malmö on a crazy camping site. It's called the Grand Circus Hotel. So they have a very well old circus wagons. Then you can rent out. They rent out as hotel rooms, but you can also go with the camper. It was beautiful there. And I had the chance at the Malmö festivals on. So Malmö, as I said, I try to avoid cities, but Malmö is beautifully. A lot of parks, a lot of water, and there was the Malmö Festival, 1 week going, a free festival sponsored by the local government or whatever. There was a blues stage, a rock space, a pop stage, a performance. There's many stages, hundreds of food trucks, and a lot of stuff. Was a cool experience. And then I took the ferry to Germany, across Germany, and on the way back to Austria here, I spent 10 days in Czechoslovakia. I was joining a festival in Czechoslovakia. Sorry, guys, it's not Czechoslovakia again. Sorry, because they're separated, the Czech Republic and Slovak Republic. I was in the Czech Republic. Also beautiful, a lot of lakes and a lot of forests and wildness. And now I'm back in Austria at the moment at my auntie's side to support there. And then I continue my trip to around Austria, Germany, and in winter I'm heading to Sicily again, to Italy, for 4 months or 5 months. That's more or less the plan.
Fun. I love it. You have such an exciting life. I'm really happy for you. Well, we're at the end of our show already, which has just flown by. So first of all, will we be seeing you next week? Do you know if you have the ability to connect?
Yes. Yeah. So the next few, I know they have a good network. Yeah, I'm seeing my auntie, and then I go. As I said, I booked a co-working space. So sometimes I have the feeling to connect with other people, network with other people, and I found a beautiful co-working space in the countryside, an old farmhouse that transformed to a co-working space. I can go with my camper there and use an office, and so I will have fantastic Wi-Fi. Yes, I'm available.
Yay! Woo! I love it. Fantastic. All right, my friend, what's the best way for people to reach out to you, and who would be a good client or contact for you?
Catch me if you can at the highway. No, just kidding. The best way is send me an email. Email is the best way. Email address is office@roland-friedl.com. I spell it for you, office, and then at rolandfriedl.com, roland-friedl.com, and roland-friedl.com is also my website. That's the best way. Send me an email. You want to know about Europe? Actually, a friend of mine called me because his daughter came to Europe. So if you need any tips in Europe, if you need support in your company in sales and management, if you want to transform your life, whatever, let me know. Maybe and I also say you don't have to have an issue or challenge to contact me. I love to connect with people. About networking, connecting people. It's all about caring and sharing. And yeah, feel free to connect me. I'm always interested in other people's life and what's going on in their mind, about their dreams. Let's share it. Yeah, it's fun. Let's build up a community of like-minded people. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Another fabulous show. It was great to see you. And thank you, everybody who's watching. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channels, which are USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn-Kerbeck. We'll be back with our next show, which is The Listening Mentor. So goodbye for now, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.